Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, it's DJ Ross. I don't know. I was like, it's DJ Ross, it's me. Whatever. Yeah, it is me. I'm in Mountain View, California.
It's a me, DJ Ross.
How's that for an intro?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Each week here on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week, man, we are really staying up all night playing games for Extra Life in their charity live stream.
Yeah.
We play games like Trombone Champ, Star Trek Bridge Crew, From Space, not to mention classics like Kirby, Splatoon, Zelda, and more. So many games.
A lot of games, yeah.
So many hours.
I'm still a little loopy, apparently.
I think I say this every year, but I absolutely woke up Sunday with a pretty serious video game hangover.
Nice. Sounds like that's a good name for a show or something.
Yeah, we should put a little copyright circle on that.
Yeah,
lock that shit down.
Oh man, we made it though.
Yeah, it was good. 9th year. You did more. I think you were 10 years, right?
No, this is my 9th year. You maybe was it your 8th year? Because I don't think you did it the first year we did it. It was myself and Paul, our former co-host.
Maybe I had done it a previous year because it said this was my 9th year as well.
Oh, interesting.
But we've not played all 9 together. We've played probably 8 of those together.
Someone assumed your identity for that first year.
Must be, yes, yeah.
Ooh, creepy.
Just played Madden.
That's what was going on?
2012 all night.
Yeah.
and raise money for charity.
Well, good for them.
Yeah, but collectively, our 9th year apparently, and as a team this year, we've raised $3,370.
Yeah, we beat our record from last year, which is amazing. Because I was like, I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we somehow did.
Yeah. Yeah, it continues to be impressive that people support us. It continues to be impressive that, it's tough out there. Everything is very expensive right now. And I think, we all feel it. And so for folks to show up and donate for these charities and support us playing video games and our goofy little game show here, I think is incredibly touching, and we appreciate it immensely.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm taking too much credit because all I did really was just sit in a chair and play video games all day. It's it's everybody out there who is contributing and donating and being very generous and also just hanging out and chatting with us, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool too. It's nice kind of to have an excuse to get everybody in the community to come support us and hang out and chat and play video games and put voices with names that we only see on Discord sometimes. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's really everybody out there who deserves the credit, though, for our total this year. So thank you very much to everybody out there.
Very much so. It's awesome. So you had mentioned before the show we were chatting about where we're at and what we've raised so far this year, excuse me, from our listeners, and mentioned that our lifetime total of us participating in Extra Life, we are nearly $14,000.
Oh, we're just over 14,000.
Oh, just over.
14,400 something.
Nice.
But who's counting?
Even better. So that's awesome too. That's really cool. That blows my mind.
It's a lot of money.
So it is. And it's a great cause. So, DJ and I don't keep any of that. It probably goes without saying, but let's be crystal clear here. That's not coming to him and I. It goes to on my end of the charity, it goes to the Penn State Hershey Children's Hospital in Hershey, Pennsylvania. What's the name of the hospital in your area, DJ?
I'm actually playing for the Cottage Children's Medical Center in Santa Barbara. So not my area, but I did live there for a while.
Ah, cool. Yeah, so it goes directly to those hospitals. I don't know. It's such an awesome thing. What a cool thing.
this is not very charitable of me, but every year I see the numbers coming in. I'm just like, oh man, how can I do this? But like, I'm the charity. How can I just get $14,000? But no, I don't think it'd be quite the same thing. I don't think people would be quite as incentivized.
No.
Happy to provide to these children's hospitals in need. I'll figure out my own situation later.
Right, yeah. For one brief, glorious day, we found a way for people to pay us to play video games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I do benefit in that way, so that's nice.
Yeah. No, it's super cool. I love it. Worldwide, Extra Life is a year-round charity, but they have the one big game day every November. That's usually what DJ and I participate in. They have other events throughout the year, but sort of the big one obviously comes at the end in November. And this year to date, the Extra Life charity has raised over $10 million for children's hospitals all over the place. And that is awesome too. I can't even wrap my brain around that number and all of the little micro donations that go into that. That's not people donating, $1 million to charity. That's people doing 20 and $25 at a time over and over and over again. So that's just staggering.
Yeah, that is incredible. That's a lot.
All of that said, if you've not donated yet, you would still like to. The links that we've shared in the past, if you go to VGHangover.com/extralife, all of that still works until December 31st of this year. So if you find yourself in the giving spirit or find yourself of means to donate at some point between now and the end of the year, you can still go to our blog, hit those links, and donate on behalf of Video Game Hangover.
Yeah. Here's an idea. Well, first of all, this is a two-part thing. I wanted to give a special shout-out to Deadly Gearhead from the community who joined our team this year for Extra Life.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, donations are still open through the 31st. If you're considering donating and you're on our team page already, why not send your donation his way? That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
Yeah. But so thank you so much for joining the team and helping out. I don't know if... we don't really publicize that usually, but people are free to just join our team if they're also doing Extra Life. Yeah. So that was very fun.
I think we went super hard the year of the pandemic. I think we were all hungry for human interaction. And we really hyped, join our team, hang out with us. And we had a whole scheme throughout the day and chatted with our team. And it was good. It was a really good time, but it was a lot of coordination. And I think we were not quite up to it for 2021 and 22. So,
right.
Yeah.
Our intern flaked out on us these last 2 years. Yeah. Not sure where they went.
Like, we really need to get an admin. That's what we need. So if you would like to be the admin for future events or just want to, join Team VGH and help raise money for this awesome charity under the banner of Video Game Hangover, we would love to have you. And that's still an option between now and December 31st as well. You can absolutely still join our team.
Yeah. I got to figure out how this whole streaming thing works because I have really no idea what I'm doing still. Despite streaming for most of the other day.
I find that very hard to believe because you, I do my janky stream and most of it is made possible by you spending 2 hours the night before trying to walk me through how it all works. And I still feel like I'm just kind of slapping it together.
Yeah.
And then I watch your stream. I wrapped up around 8 p.m. and you were just about to play Trombone Champ. And I was like, I got to see DJ play Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ.
And it was a whole production. You had like a little ticker and you had a little box in the corner with your face in it, perfectly centered in the screen. And everything just ran beautifully. And you were good at engaging the people in your chat. And I was like, DJ gets it. DJ absolutely understands how to do this.
Oh, well, thank
you. I do not.
I'm glad I put out that impression. Because that is not how I feel when the stream is actually taking place. Let me tell you, all those little pieces that you're like, oh man, that's so cool. This is a result of me cobbling together a bunch of garbage over the last, 9 years we've been doing this? So every year I'll just add a thing and be like, oh, now there's this little feature. So
cumulative wisdom over the years, yeah.
Yeah, it's all a work in progress. I should mention, though, so the day after I was just checking my email to see if any more donations had rolled in, because sometimes that happens, and that's exciting. But I had an email from Twitch, and they actually offered me, so they mentioned that I'm eligible to be a Twitch affiliate at this point.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Which I was like, yeah, I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know how familiar you are with sort of like the different tiers of Twitch streaming, I guess. I don't know what you call it.
Oh, I think you know how familiar I am.
Yeah, I mean, so no more explanation then.
Yes, exactly. Say no more, please.
There's like several levels where you can be just a regular old streamer or whatever they call that. And then there's partner, which is like what most people, like the big streamers are. They're all Twitch partners, and you get a bunch of like, I don't even know how to summarize it really, but you get a bunch of perks for your channel basically, and you get like revenue share from ads that you run and a bunch of other stuff. Mm-hmm. But then somewhere in the middle, there's this affiliate layer, which is like a little mini partner. And I think it opens up the ability to like start running ads and earning some money from your streams, and you get some channel perks. But I was like, oh wow, I didn't think that would happen, because
Nice.
The requirements are like you need to meet a certain sort of streamer threshold. Like you need to stream a certain number of hours per month and have a certain number of people following you and chatting during your streams. So I thought that was hilarious, because it really the only reason I met this threshold is because of Extra Life. And also because I guess I've been running these Spooky Saturday streams this month.
Yeah. You definitely benefit from having a good routine in place. I think that helps as well.
Yeah, so I just thought it's like, oh, well, so they offered me this affiliate thing, but are they aware that I'm really only like a heavy Twitch user for like 1 month out of the year, and really just 24 hours out of that 1 month?
I find that, I generally only stream on Extra Life. And I certainly don't have, throughout the rest of the year, I don't have a cadence or a routine in place. So it's not like anybody's setting their watch to, make sure they tune in to watch me play video games. But generally when I stream, I get 0, occasionally 1 or 2 viewers. And trust me, it's real tough when you go from like 0 to one person, and then they back out. And it's back to 0.
Yeah. Like, wrong door. I was looking for the other channel.
So I was looking for Minecraft. Is this Minecraft? But this year, what were we playing? Splatoon. We were playing Splatoon in the afternoon. We had 7 people watching us.
Ooh. That's a popular game.
That was nuts. Yeah, I got the little after stream report from Twitch, and it said, "Congratulations, this is a new high for you." Oh. And I was like, "Damn, 7 people!" I was so glad that we were good at Splatoon that day.
Right. Just embarrassing yourself in front of 7 people.
Exactly. I'm like, wow, that's good. I'm glad I brought my A game that afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, nice, nice.
That was good. That was a nice high number. I felt that was celebration worthy.
Yeah.
I was not offered affiliation, but
no. Well, I just got to stream some more Splatoon, it sounds like.
Yes, clearly that's the magic, the secret sauce.
I think that's my issue, is like, I don't foresee myself becoming a streamer full-time or even like part-time. It's really just like a once-in-a-while thing for me. But whenever I am streaming something, it's just like some weird game nobody has ever heard of, and like nobody is searching for on Twitch. And when like it does come up, it's just like, oh, the excavation at Hobbs Barrow? Okay. I've been dying to see that one. No offense to that game, which was incredible, but it's not. Yeah. It's no Splatoon 3, we'll put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know what, and this is a greater conversation about streaming in general, but like, is streaming a good tool for video game discovery? Like, because my perspective on it is, I don't want to stream. And I don't play those games anyways, but I don't want to stream Minecraft or Fortnite, you know what I mean? Because there's a billion people doing it. I would rather stream some cool little niche game and try to find some way to like, shine a light on something that maybe other gamers are not aware of. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how well Twitch is built for that mindset.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like, if you're not an established streamer, how successful that is.
How bright is that light that you're shining on Hobbs Barrow, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's probably, not doing anything. Because it's like, oh, like, how do you even find that stream of the unknown streamer playing a game that nobody's ever heard of?
Right, yeah. You kind of have to search for it by name, in which case that means you know the name of the game that you're looking for.
Yes. The discovery part is already taken care of.
Right.
I should mention, though, that occasionally, and this tends to happen, I feel like it's happened like once a year when we do these things, is I'll be playing some game and it's, it's not Splatoon 3 or Fortnite by any means. but one of the like development team, well, they clearly are searching for their own game or just monitoring how many people are playing it on Twitch. They will just pop up in the chat and be like, "Oh, hey, we worked on this. What do you think?" And that's super cool.
Cool.
And it happened this year. I was playing. What's the name of the game? I don't have it on the list because I was going to talk about it next week. The Planet Crafter, which is a space survival game. And yeah, somebody dropped in and they were like, "Hey," they were the community manager, I believe, and they were French, or they spoke French, so they were running everything through Google Translate, I think. But that was fun. It's always cool to have somebody pop up from the development team. I think a couple years ago, I had a few developers from Pinko Park, that sort of spooky Pokemon Snap game, stop by, which was a lot of fun. We chatted with them for a while.
Cool. Paul and I were playing... I feel real bad not remembering the name of the game, but it was like an electronic soccer thing. It looked like Tron, but it was basically the rules of soccer.
Laser League, I believe.
Laser League, there you go. It was a PlayStation Plus game, and DJ and you are DJ. Paul and I were like, let's try it out. Let's try it on stream during Extra Life. And while we were playing, the developer of that popped into the chat and was talking to us about it. So, yeah. That's cool. That feels really neat. That's really, yeah. You and I played From Space this week, and we didn't have anybody from the dev team in chat, but we got our tweet about the game liked by the developers.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah, we got a little heart on Twitter from them, so that was nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a very different situation, though. It's like they're already searching for their one specific game, so I don't know how other people like find little unknown games like that. But that's sort of been my goal with this show, and I think yours as well, like to an extent, is to talk about games that are not Fortnite or Splatoon 3. Or, I mean, bad example because we talked about Splatoon 3, but just shine some light on the lesser known games out there.
Sure. Yeah. I've entertained in the past, and I think you and I have chatted with each other about it. Should that be our lane? Should we not do the Uncharted games and the God of Wars as they come out because other podcasts will take care of those? Are we better off talking about Pinko Park and Laser League for the rest of our days?
Yeah.
And games like that. Indie game hangover rather than just video games broadly. And, I like having the opportunity to like gush about God of War sometimes. So I don't want to be limited by that, but I don't know. Whatever. It's fun. It's still this little thing that we do that we get to dump all of our, our cool interests into.
Yeah. I also, I'll talk about whatever big games come out that I happen to be playing, but I also, thinking is if you really do want to hear about Grand Theft Auto 6, there are so many other shows where you could go and hear about that. So we'll just talk about, I don't know what'll come out that week. Splatoon 4. The Splatoon visual novel or something. Anyway, so that's sort of been my goal whenever I do stream something, and that's why nobody watches. So at least I'm content with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of that said, let's talk about some of the games that we did play of varying sort of shapes and sizes, obviously.
Yeah. Anything good?
I started the day with a little Animal Crossing, of course, doing some of my dailies and a quick island tour. I had a couple people in the chat, nobody really engaging, but I was sort of like, here are my Halloween decorations I've not taken down. And then I jumped into Slay the Spire, and I've not played Slay the Spire. My save said last time I played it was like December 20th or something of last year. So I think I played it last year during Extra Life, got the itch again, and then played it for about a month and fell kind of in love with Slay the Spire again. So I've not played it since last December. And jumping into the daily challenge in that is always a weird sort of mega mix of the rules. And for those who don't know, Slay the Spire is a deck building game. Essentially, you get a bunch of cards and a couple of different characters available to you with varying rule sets, and you have to basically climb a spire and vanquish a bunch of enemies by hopefully drawing and playing the right cards. It was this thing where I don't remember this character. I don't remember what any of these cards do anymore.
Yeah.
Felt very rusty. Yeah.
That's an especially difficult game to go back to unless you were very familiar with it before. Because it's not just if you're going back to an action game, I feel like you can just stick to a couple buttons until you remember how
Punch,
everything
kick, and
works.
shoot your way through it. Yeah.
Yeah, but in that one, you're just like, oh, what did these 50 cards do? And I know it says, like, it just says right on the card what it does.
Yeah.
There's like, it's a little more complicated than that. You have to think of it.
But as a streamer, is it entertaining for me to sort of like slowly reacquaint myself with Slay the Spire on stream?
Oh, sure.
And I'm
sure.
like, yeah. So yeah, I felt a little rusty. The good news is I hung in there. I got through 2 Ascensions. And I was like, oh yeah, the blood is pumping. I'm feeling it again. I'm doing okay. So it was not a total waste of anybody's time. It went on much longer than I thought. I had given myself an hour to do it, and I played for close to an hour and a half. Before I, in classic Slay the Spire fashion, got completely wiped out by some unexpected thing. And yeah, I was like, oh, do I have the itch again? Am I feeling it? And then, yeah, of course, tonight before we were recording, I was playing Slay the Spire. So.
Excellent.
It's back. I have over 100 hours on that game now, and it has easily become this, like,
wow,
maybe not secret, but semi-secret juggernaut in the last 5 years of my video gaming history. Yeah, it's quite a thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, maybe you should do more streams of that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Similarly, I played Spelunky 1 and 2, the daily challenges this year.
Yeah. Do you keep up with that? Have you kept up with that?
I don't. I think the last time I played it was probably last year during Extra Life. Maybe, right. Well, I might have gone back to Spelunky 2 because I think that came out last year. I was actually just like, how does time work? Is this game really only a year old at this point? I can't tell, but I hadn't played Spelunky 1 in quite a long time, so that was exciting. And it was really interesting because, like, I've probably played more Spelunky 1 than 2 over my Spelunky career. And just going back to the Spelunky daily, I did both dailies, so Spelunky 1 and 2. I did the version in the morning, and then the clock rolled over in the middle of the marathon, so I finished off with the second set of dailies at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., whatever the clock said. And I managed to make it all the way through the Spelunky 1 daily both times. Spelunky 2 did not go as well. In fact, I don't think I even made it through the second sort of area in that game. Because, man, that is still really difficult. And that's not a surprise to me. But I'm still just fascinated that they were able to make a sequel to that managed to challenge veterans of Spelunky 1. And it is still just it still brings back the feeling of the first few, not hours, because it lasted for much longer than that, but just the first few weeks of discovering Spelunky 1 and just not understanding it and not really being able to get anywhere near the end of it. The fact that they were able to just replicate that experience again is really amazing.
So what is it about the daily challenge that the game mixes up to make it a challenge?
It actually doesn't mix anything up, which is interesting. It's just, when you start a game of Spelunky, you get a completely randomly generated seed, basically, that changes how the maps look and where all the items and enemies are. Mm-hmm. But what's notable about the daily challenge is that everybody gets the same seed for that day. So
interesting.
Everybody plays the same game of Spelunky. And then you can kind of compare how you did. You would be like,
neat.
How far did you make it on this one? And then you can, if you're really into it, you can be like, did you run into this issue in the third zone or whatever? You just talk about specifics, which normally would not sync up between playthroughs.
Interesting. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I don't think I ever realized that.
Yeah, so it's an interesting way to kind of sync up everybody's playthrough, because otherwise you're just thrown into a random version of Spelunky, which is also fun. I think that's probably I was thinking, could I keep streaming outside of Extra Life, and what game would I gravitate towards other than these weird indie games that nobody's heard of? But in the past, when I was playing Spelunky 1 more regularly, and even Spelunky 2 to an extent, I would stream the daily challenge every day. And that was probably the most interesting sort of game to stream to me, because it was it's kind of an advantage coming back to the same game every day or just regularly, because you're talking about the same stuff. You can talk about, something's different this time, or maybe you have a different strategy, but it's also not like other games where, I play a lot of games where I'll be like trying to enjoy the story or something. Or if a game has
spoiling the experience for somebody else.
Yeah. I mean, it's partly that. I mean, I feel like that's on the viewer. Like, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't. Like, why are you watching somebody else play the game?
Right, yeah.
But to some degree, it's like, I don't really want to be going through a story game, or not every story game anyway, for the first time on a stream, because it just makes it feel completely different. Sometimes I just want to have that experience for myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's your point, but like my perspective on sort of watching people play video games is I'm much more inclined to watch somebody do a Splatoon or a Trombone Champ, even because there's a degree of skill to that I'm not going to get near in my own experience with that game. Whereas like watching somebody play The Last of Us or Uncharted, I'm like, no, I would rather go through that myself. I want to have that experience of, discovering what comes next. And yeah, that's not really part of the, Splatoon experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like if I was going to become a regular streamer, like Spelunky or something like that would be my anchor game. I would just like go back to that all the time. But it's like, it's just fun. Just fun for me to go back to, and it's kind of different every time.
Cool. There's a thing in Slay the Spire that's like share this seed. That must be a way to get, if I shared that with you, you could get the same kind of rule set and starting point that I got, so that we could sync up on that experience. That's kind of interesting. I've never used that before, never quite understood what it meant until you said everybody gets the same seed, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's built into Slay the Spire.
I'm assuming that's how the Slay the Spire daily works too. Like everybody plays the same seed on that as well. But I know that they also have like some weird modifiers usually.
Yeah, I mean that's the cool thing about the daily in Slay the Spire is that it modifies the rules in a significantly different way than you would ever encounter during the normal playthrough of that game. So yeah, it's a bunch of really kind of weird and random things that sometimes break the game, sometimes make it feel like sometimes it's a little impossible. There's ones every now and then where you get where it makes it such a breeze that it feels almost like cheating. Mm-hmm. Like it takes all of the risk out of the game and you're just strolling from floor to floor, and I'm like, okay, this feels wrong. But it's cool. It's cool that there's something built into the game that kind of breaks it a little bit so you can kind of stress test it. And you can always, of course, go back to kind of the vanilla rule set of the game and play it, the way the developers intended from the beginning.
Yeah. I wonder if that would be interesting. I wonder if they could get away with doing like a weird Spelunky daily every once in a while. I wonder how the community would react to that.
Yeah. I mean, that was built into, right? I think it was built into Slay the Spire from day one. So I don't think anybody's ever,
You never questioned it.
You can't go back and sort of say, oh, that's not the pure Slay the Spire experience.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how seriously people take the, like, Spelunky leaderboards. So, yeah, I don't
know. Cool. You and I did some co-op gaming later in the day, too. We had a couple of games that we overlapped on.
We did.
Yeah. You want to start with, we're talking about Star Trek Bridge Crew first.
We did it. We played Star Trek Bridge Crew.
With a shout out to our buddy
the old Enterprise.
Yeah, to our buddy Green Captain for coordinating this, right? Was he the origin of this fiasco?
To his credit, he has been requesting that we play this, probably with him as well. For the last few years, we've done Extra Life. So feel like we kind of owed it to him at some point. But yeah, he did have a large hand in getting this all together. And also shout out to Arkasa from the Discord for joining us as well, rounding out our bridge crew, fourth chair on the bridge.
Yeah,
but this was like I had a lot of fun. I thought it was just like a silly experience.
It was that. I would agree with that. It was indeed a silly experience.
Yeah, it. I kept thinking in my head, there was this mobile game that, is probably almost 10 years old at this point, called Space Team, which basically everybody would have a different control panel to some spaceship that you're all on their phone. And you would have orders to be carried out, but they would be for the other people's control panel. So you'd have to like yell at other people, be like, raise the shields or set the engines to level 5, or I forget what you were actually doing in that game. And then somebody else would have to do that on their phone. And I imagined that was roughly how Bridge Crew was going to go, because the way it works is, you're on the bridge of the USS Enterprise, and you have 4 people each sitting at a different station, where you actually have 3 people sitting at stations, and the 4th person is the captain giving orders. So I thought it would be a little bit like that. It turned out to be maybe a little more organized, as you might expect from a Star Trek game. Because it was not like the engineer would suddenly be shouting at the captain to go do something. It was more like the captain would give orders, and then the navigator would have to navigate over to wherever in the star system you needed to go, and then the engineer would scan stuff, or however it worked. So a little more subdued, but still was kind of a, same idea, just having a team experience, and you have to coordinate between each other a little bit.
Yeah. I think it was subdued to its detriment, because I think I just found the whole experience really boring. And
yeah, it wasn't the most exciting thing from the get-go.
No. And I don't know if it gets exciting. We were semi-successful. We did 2 adventures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we met all the objectives. Did we ever blow up entirely? I don't think we ever blew up entirely.
No, we survived the whole time.
Yeah. So I don't it. Nothing ever really felt super risky. We were pretty measured, pretty collaborative. I think that was helpful too, obviously, as we had 4 people who were good at communicating and proceeding with a fair amount of caution. So we never did anything super risky. So I guess, yeah, if we're risk averse, maybe you're going to live a little bit longer in outer space. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it didn't ever sort of feel like I don't know, the final minutes of any Star Trek episode, there's always sort of I hope they do the thing. And it never really felt like that while we were playing the game.
Yeah, that's true. And in the game's defense, we played what amounted to, it was the very first mission in the campaign, and some random mission that we had generated. And also, none of us really knew what we were doing, because it was the first time most of us had played this game. I think Green Captain had been into it several times before. So I think that took away from it a little bit, in that when somebody would be like, okay, so, use the impulse engines to travel over here, the person who would normally just carry out those orders would be like, all right, how do I do that?
And Green Captain would patiently explain it to us, yeah.
Full disclosure, that person was me. And I feel like most of the time, the first game we played where I was the navigator, I was driving us around probably slower than we were able to go. So that could have been a little better. But also, I think, if we had gotten further into it and played some of the more advanced missions, and we're also more familiar with the different stations on the ship, it probably would have been a more eventful experience.
Yeah. Sort of not to dismiss the entire experience based from our probably, admittedly limited time with it. But it never ever really felt super high stakes or anything.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. I was reminded of, and our listeners may appreciate this if they're fans of Galaxy Quest, of the first time you move the ship from the thing in Galaxy Quest where they're trying to get out of the spaceport and the ship is listing a little too much to one side and just scraping against the wall as it makes its way out into open space. And it felt very much like that as DJ was lurching us forward for the first time very slowly. It was tough. I mean, it's a tough job in that, no matter what you do on the spaceship, somebody always has to navigate you there. I think I was controlling weapons and shields and stuff like that, whatever that job was called. And you don't always need weapons. You always need shields mostly if you're playing smartly. But I had the luxury of not being kind of in the spotlight through much of our experience until pirate ships show up, and then shields at 100%. Get your torpedoes ready and stuff like that. But I had a little moment to shine, whereas you always had to be on.
I think, there's definitely a learning curve. So who knows how the game ends up being. Although I do think that, I wonder, once everybody is more proficient, just how much time you actually still spend sitting around waiting for the ship to get from one system to the next. Because that felt like, even if we were doing this correctly, there did seem to be a lot of travel time involved.
Yeah.
And they don't show that on the show, where they're just like, all right, set course for the system, and we'll be there in like 3 hours. And they just cut to commercial and come back and they're there. But no, we just kind of sat around and watched this thing get slowly closer on the view screen. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. That's just something you don't see on the TV show.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely, if you had if you as a person and as a Star Trek fan have the desire to like, geez, I wonder what happens during the commercials on an episode of Star Trek. I think Star Trek Bridge Crew answers that question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't help but think that this is maybe one of those things where if like you had 4 people who were very experienced and knew what everything did and how it all worked properly and had a really good captain, issuing sort of commands and giving direction, like maybe that would be compelling to watch. Mm-hmm. But for me and the 4 of us kind of sitting in our seats and lurching our way through it, it didn't feel terribly exciting.
Yeah. It definitely had like very first mission or like first hour kind of vibes. It would have been cool. So like you mentioned, like as the ship is traveling, if you could just get up and walk around and just be like, oh yeah, we're going to go hang out in the, the turbo lift or whatever until we get to where we're supposed to go. But
the holodeck. Let's go to the holodeck.
Yeah. Well, then you be like, all right, we're here. Where's Randy? Oh, he's still on the, the holodeck.
he's pretending he's a knight in ancient England or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or what was the thing? They were always
there was
Sherlock Holmes and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then they always go there.
As a Star Trek fan, I had a great time with it, though. I thought they did a great job of bringing in sort of the authentic flavor for the most part. I might go back and do the single player a little bit, or maybe see if I can scrounge up some more co-op crewmates to check out some of the more advanced stuff. Because one of the modes, like after you finish the campaign, is essentially a roguelike, from what I understand.
Oh.
Or maybe not a roguelike, but they just give you a randomly generated mission, and you just have to go out and see what that entails. But like that's kind of cool if you have a regular group to play it with.
Yeah.
But anyway, we did play it, so mark that one off.
Yeah. I mostly did it for you, so I was happy to support you in your adventure, and it was not the worst way to spend an hour and a half, so.
Right, yeah. I mostly did it to rope you into playing it. So.
Well, mission accomplished.
Exactly.
We both learned something that day.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was good.
The other co-op game that we played is a fairly new game called From Space.
This just came out, actually. Yeah,
it came out the day before Extra Life, so we had not played any of it ever before. It is, geez, what did it feel like? It felt like Left 4 Dead in structure, where you had sort of a co-op group. It could support up to, it looked like 6 people.
Really? I just assumed it was 4 for some reason.
Oh.
But that would be a lot of people.
It would be pretty chaotic, yeah. There's 6 characters to choose from, so
I think I just 6 characters.
I assume they could all play at once, and they had different classes, engineer and a tank and stuff like that. And you're basically trying to survive the alien apocalypse. But the aliens in this case were bright neon pink, glow in the dark, not terribly formidable enemies. It's just there's a lot of them, and a couple of different variations on them that do different things and have different areas of effect and goo and stuff like that you have to watch out for. Mm-hmm. But yeah, mostly it was DJ and I kind of like get a key card, go through the gate, walk down the street, shoot a bunch of aliens with whatever weapons we can scrounge up and find. Lots of little upgradables and little class-based things where I could put up like a force field generator that shot out like electrical arcs because I was an electrician class or something like that. And everything that I did had like electricity tied to it, which made, aliens, bright neon pink aliens, explode in a very satisfying way.
Yeah.
So it was fun. It was, it didn't feel like it was sort of procedurally generated. It felt pretty scripted. And you were these cute little, like, big-headed, stubby-bodied, kind of little chibi characters.
Oh, yeah. I really love the whole aesthetic. Reminded me a bit of Dragalia Lost, why I'm always just like, why don't more games look like this? Why isn't everybody's head just enormous?
And you would go somewhere and get a mission from somebody, and it would require you like, nobody goes through the sewers, but the only way to get through the power plant is to go through the sewers, and they're crawling with aliens. So naturally, you and your friends are going through the sewers. You stop and you save your game and you load up on all kinds of like health packs and grenades and all kinds of other little goodies, and march your way into the sewers and try to stay alive as long as possible. And you get to the other end and somebody's like, oh, help these 2 other people and X, Y, and Z will happen. And so it's just sort of that. Again, it felt very sort of Left 4 Dead, in structure, like lather, rinse, repeat. Mm-hmm. It felt pretty replayable, like you could, level up and crank up the difficulty and march into it again with your friends and try to stay alive as long as possible. None of it was super serious. None of it felt like, extra deadly. I had a couple of downs, but it was pretty easy for DJ to revive me for the most part. I thought it was fun. I had a good time playing it.
Yeah, it felt pretty generous in terms of like difficulty. It seemed like it gave you a very long time to be revived, because there were a couple situations where I was like, oh, I would revive you, except there's this whole squad of aliens chasing me.
Yeah.
But it was fine. You just hung out for a little bit. I think it may have suffered a little bit from the same problem as just playing the first mission in Star Trek Bridge Crew, in that I felt like it had a fairly slow ramp up. Like if the game started maybe 2 or 3 hours in from where we were, it would have been much more interesting. Because we spent, I forget how long we played this, maybe like an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And it was fine, like we got a good feel for just how generally the game worked. But like you said, you start out and you pick these classes, and you have like offensive characters and defensive characters, and whatever the third one was, it's like a specialist or support or something.
Right, yeah.
And we tried to coordinate, because you had picked somebody, and I was looking through the character classes, and I thought, oh, this one sounds kind of interesting, because it sounds like you're supposed to hang out in front and kind of shield your the rest of your team. So I thought, okay, that sounds fun. I'll do that. And then you can be the guy with the big gun who's like taking people out.
Right. And the stats supported that. Like you had twice as much health as I did. You had more armor units than I did. So it definitely felt like, I was going to have cool like toys and tools and stuff like that. But DJ was very much going to have to soak up much of the alien attention for me to be able to deploy those.
Yeah. But then when we got started, I was like, okay, sure, I have more health, but they showed this character, he has like a huge flamethrower or something. Like, where is that? I just have the same dinky little pistol that Randy's got.
We both had little pea shooters in the beginning, and I was like, okay, well, this needs to get more interesting fast, yeah.
Yeah. But then it turns out there's like this whole experience system, and almost at the very end, I think I finally unlocked that flamethrower. And I was like, okay, well, now this is great, because I can just put down a whole wall of fire, and the aliens can't get through.
And it was quite a light show when you fired it up. Yeah,
I was like, it was super good.
That's this game. Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, oh, I wish I had just started with that. But, you guess you have to work your way up to it a little bit. And so that was cool, but I kind of wish it had gotten to that point a little faster.
I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the good news is it's not a roguelike. So, you and I found a save point. Every time you get to a base, there's a telephone. You pick up the telephone, it saves your game. So I think you and I eventually found a couple of good save points, and we can go back to it. We'll still have access to all of our weapons and characters and stuff like that. So
yeah.
if we felt compelled to play again and wanted to go a little bit further, and I think I would go back to it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I'd probably go back to it, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta grind some of those orbs out.
Right. And try to get some of those crazy upgrades and see how much we can light up on fire or shoot with electricity.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of this game. I think it was, I don't know if Valve developed it, but they were like just handing it out on Steam for a while, called Alien Swarm, which was basically, it was, again, similar to Left 4 Dead, where you just have a little squad and you'd have to survive, like making your way through this facility, which was basically just the facility from Aliens, and also your squad mates were all knockoffs of Aliens characters, and you had some of the same weaponry and like the motion detector and everything. But that one was very sort of like squad based, and everybody was very specialized from the get-go. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, cool.
So that's sort of my hope, that that's where this game ends up. By the end of it, you're just like getting swarmed by aliens on all sides, and everybody's got their own little jobs to do, and so somebody's putting down shields, and there's auto sentries or whatever. But promising start. Just seems like it takes a little while to get ramped up. You just have to grind out your experience a little bit.
Yeah. So that is called From Space. That is available now on the Switch. I'm not sure if it's on other platforms, but DJ and I were playing it together on the Switch.
Yeah, I think it's out on Steam at least because they kept talking about a demo.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Those were really the only two places we overlapped for the day. We did have a fun time watching you play Trombone Champ later in the evening.
Oh, yeah.
What was your Trombone Champ experience like on your end of the screen?
It was pretty much exactly how I imagined it going. If you haven't seen this game by this point, it's essentially Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but with a trombone. And if that sounds ridiculous, you're right. And also the developers are fully in on the joke that it is ridiculous that somebody would make a music game where the instrument is a trombone. Because they have, like, you're playing a bunch of songs, a lot of which are sort of just the, not open source, but like, not rights free. What's the term I'm looking for?
Yeah, like Community Commons, but
Community Commons.
I think you and I have been making podcasts for too long. What is that called?
Public domain.
Public domain.
Public domain music. Like the Star Spangled Banner and Beethoven's Fifth. Those are public domain, right? Sure. They were all in this game, so they must have been.
Happy Birthday's in there, and that's not public domain. That's why they don't sing Happy Birthday in movies.
I think it recently passed over in the public domain. So
I didn't know that. That's
just
funny.
Have a field day with it. We'll put it over the credits for the show.
Yep.
But so it's a lot of that, and there are some in like original songs in there as well. But you're playing a bunch of these, and while this is going on, there's this ridiculous trombonist, or they call it a tromboner, character in the background, and it just looks like a me from back on the Wii, just a big bug-eyed character just bopping along playing the trombone, and it's silly. It's just a silly music game.
And in between all of the songs you get during load screens, you get like fun facts about the world of trombones,
trombone facts,
and the history of tromboning, and you're never quite sure if they're real or not. We were actually Googling a few of them to see if is that a real person. And it's it like you said, it's very much in on the joke. The developers clearly understand how ridiculous this is.
Yeah. I had to say, I started out playing it, and so the way the game actually works is you have, like, the notes are scrolling in from the right side of the screen, and then you move your mouse up and down to control sort of where your, like, cursor is, and you have to match it up with the notes as they scroll by. And initially, it starts out so it's, like, the movement is inverted, and I imagine that's because, like, you move your mouse, like, you push your mouse away from you to play a lower note, and that's, like, pushing the trombone slide out, or however you call that. And then you bring it back in and play a higher note. And I played one song. Well, actually, I don't even think I made it through an entire song. I realized that was happening. And I said, oh, this is backwards. So I just backed out to the menu and changed it. But then it was very easy. So I was like hitting every note, and all the songs sounded great. And I was getting S ranks, and I thought, well, this is not very interesting. This isn't quite the Trombone Champ experience that I've watched other people experience on streams and all that. So I went back into the menu, and I thought, okay, I'll give myself the authentic sort of Trombone Champ experience and change the controls back to inverted. And sure enough, that I think just my enjoyment of the game jumped like 1,000% at that point, because I was like just way more awkward to control, and I was like missing notes. And that sounds bad, but that's really what you want in this game, because that's what makes it sound so silly. Like, you get all these goofy trombone slides, and everything is slightly off-key. And it just, like, it fits into the whole thing so much better. You're just playing this ridiculous, like, who gave this idiot a trombone? And they're trying to play music on it. It was hysterical. So yeah, pretty much exactly how I expected it to go.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is that as you're playing this, you're earning points, or whatever they, like, toots, I think they call them.
You're earning toots.
Which is like this in-game currency that you spend on a gacha, essentially. So you would get these random trading cards, which was like, okay, that's fine. And at the very end of the stream, or the segment when I was playing this just playing Trombone Champ, I realized you could trade the cards in for different things.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, there's this whole sort of unlock / weird progression element to this game, which I don't really know what to make of it at this point because I didn't spend that much time with it, but there's so much other weird stuff sort of surrounding the music component of this game. Like, there's all this mention of like baboons and some sort of primal trombone god or something like that, or I forget how they explain how the first trombones came into existence at the start of the game. But it made me wonder just how far they take it. Like, if you redeem enough trading cards from the gacha, if like even weirder stuff starts to happen. Or maybe you just unlock different colored trombones to play with. Maybe that's all that really happens. But there was...
And new tromboners.
Like this. Exactly. Yeah. It did make me question, like, I wonder if there's more going on here. But I would also just not be surprised at all if it was like, yeah, just some cosmetic stuff and more opportunities for weird jokes.
Right. Yeah, I sort of appreciated it as kind of a joke and like a meme delivery system. I really like, the music was ridiculous. I mean, the trombone is ridiculous. It is a musical instrument that sounds like somebody passing gas. And like
got the whole slide and everything.
Yeah, the game gets that. So it really leans pretty heavily into fart jokes and the weird baboon thing. And yeah, but all of it felt very breezy. Like the songs are real quick and you're kind of in and out super fast. And watching somebody play it, like it's judging you as you're playing and putting up little like judgments of your of your skill set as you're going through it. And it's like, okay, fine, nasty.
Yeah, I love that instead of like bad or like miss if you don't play a note correct, it just says nasty, which is like the most amazing thing that I've seen.
Yeah, and as you're playing the Star Spangled Banner, like American things are like streaming by on the screen behind the playfield. Yeah, and it's ridiculous. Baseball and apple pie and dollar bills and hamburgers, other sort of distinctly American things. So yeah, it's it is just goofy. It really feels like this whole package assembled to like tell one joke over and over again. And yeah, it was. And I think I said this in the chat as I logged off. I'm like, this was as ridiculous as I hoped it would be. So it was entertaining. Was it entertaining to play? Did you have fun playing it? Would you go back to it?
I had fun playing it, but I don't know if it's going to be a regular thing. But again, that's exactly how I predicted it going. I was thinking, like, I was putting together the schedule for this, and I was like, oh man, I really do like a music game. I could see myself, spending half the stream playing a music game. Is that going to be the case with Trombone Champ? Like, am I going to be in trouble if I book myself playing this for 2 hours? And I was just like, oh, it's a little more Trombone Champ than I wanted. So I think played it for about an hour, and that may just be it for me. That may be my entire Trombone Champ career. But no, completely satisfied with it. It was very good.
Excellent.
It's hard to make like a comedy game, like a game that's genuinely funny. And I feel like they absolutely did that with this. So kudos to them.
So lightning round on some of the other stuff we played throughout the course of the day. We had teased Splatoon and Kirby and Zelda at the top here. So I went back to Kirby in the Forgotten Land, which I've not touched in a few months. I made the mistake of going back to it. The next level I had to play in the game was a boss battle, and just ate it repeatedly. It was like,
well, that's good. That's what Kirby does.
Yes. Well, yeah. And not in a good Kirby kind of way. Just died repeatedly. And I'm like, well, this can't be fun for anybody to watch. I'll go back and I'll do one of the levels because the levels all have these like things you have to do. One of them is you're in an old shopping mall, and it's don't get lost at the mall, and you have to follow the signs around and find little hidden things inside the mall. And I had done poorly at that one. I had gotten lost and exited the level too early and didn't do all the achievements, didn't find all the hidden waddle dees and stuff. So I went back and did that one over again and really tried this time to follow the directions through the mall, and did a perfect, had a flawless playthrough and nice. Did the big boss fight at the end and stuff like that. And I felt like, oh, that's quality entertainment. I thought it was probably better that I go back and reattempt a level I had tanked on before than try to, completely kill myself over and over trying to fight a boss battle that I was not in a good place to fight. But I'm reminded that Kirby in the Forgotten Land is a very fun game, and I probably need to spend some time trying to wrap that up before the end of the year.
Oh, nice. Are you playing it on like spicy mode or whatever it is?
I forget what they call it in the game, but yeah, I was playing it on the one that has the difficulty kind of cranked up slightly.
Yeah.
I guess I probably could have knocked that down to the non-spicy one, the vanilla version of it, but that didn't occur to me at the time. I thought maybe I would just go back and try to get a better rank on something that I had failed at before.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I'd also kind of forgotten that game came out. People seem to like it, though.
I do like it. I think the level design in it is quite ingenious. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of little hidden secrets and a lot of things for you to explore. And I think it lends itself really well to kind of replayability. You go back through it and look for things you missed the first time. It does a really nice job of kind of giving you a checklist at the end of like all the things you missed, which is very much kind of part of the Nintendo pattern for games like this, where it's like, oh, there were 3 coins, you only found 2 of them. So yeah, with Kirby, it's like it really is like a 10-item checklist of all of the things that you could have and should have done as you played through the level. But they don't reveal that to you until you play through the level one time, of course. So you don't quite know what you're looking for the first time.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. The demo, they would just throw something out like, oh, you didn't meet all the secret Waddle Dees. And I was like, what? I didn't even realize should be keeping an eye out for them.
Yeah, there were Waddle Dees, yeah.
Waddle Dees is a bad example because those are everywhere. But there was something like, you didn't find the seashells or whatever it is.
But it's a beautiful game, like with a lot of variety and a lot of really kind of ingenious kind of level design and stuff like that. And Kirby continues to be a delight because he's got all of these fun little, he absorbs the abilities of whoever he basically sucks up. And all of those have upgrades to them too. So there are tons of fun little little exploits and little things you can do to, maximize your return on investing in upgrading all of those little abilities and stuff. So yeah, it's a good game. It's a really good game. I feel a little bad about falling off of it, so I definitely want to, before I assemble my list of, these are my favorite games of the past year, I probably should get Kirby across the finish line.
You think that'll be on there? Potentially?
Potentially, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I have a sense of like where I'm at with my top 10 for the year right now. So probably put some more thought into that, but it's a very good game.
I've been thinking about it. It's a little early, but it is a good time to start thinking about it, and I'm struggling to come up with like really standout candidates. Yeah.
I was listening to another podcast, and they were all like, if today was the end of the year, what was your favorite game? And they were all Elden Ring all the time. And I'm like,
maybe that's why everybody...
DJ and I will not be there, so...
For me, it's just going to be Vampire Survivors 5 times. Did you play Vampire Survivors? We had some trouble setting it up.
Yeah. I was supposed to play Vampire Survivors, as were you. Did you end up playing it?
Oh, I played Vampire Survivors, yeah.
But you couldn't get me to a place where it could be streamed. There was something about that game where it just was not being picked up by the streaming software and was just broadcasting a blank screen.
Yeah, they need to figure that out.
Yeah. Which is a bummer if you're an indie developer and you want people to see your game being played. But
yeah, I mean, there's workarounds. People are able to stream it. Like I was able to stream it, but it's not the easiest thing. It's not the most convenient thing.
Yeah. So I gave up. I didn't bother. I ended up playing the Entropy Center, which is another new release.
Oh.
I'm having a really good time with it. It's basically like a Portal kind of game. I'm going to talk about that quite a bit next week. So we'll come back to that. But
okay. I think I caught a couple minutes of this.
Yeah. I also played Splatoon 3. We've mentioned that quite a bit. I played with Spin Doctor and Deadly Gearhead from our Discord. It's the first time I've been able to just roll out with a nearly full team in that game, and we kicked butt. We did so good. We had a couple of rounds where we met some pretty formidable challenges, but for the most part, I would say we played for a good hour to an hour and a half, and we had some really strong victories throughout that time. So
I saw a little bit of this. I think I was having lunch, and I was just like, wow, they're really, like, like, maybe they should tone it down a little bit. I feel kind of bad for these other teams. But I was impressed.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Oh, no. You're just like, we'll take it if we can get it.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. And it's one of those things, too, where you see the advantage in games like this of really, of good kind of thoughtful communication and coordination and stuff like that, and calling out other enemies and like, oh, there's a lot of guys in the middle right now, go around to the right if you're coming through the middle, and really just sort of being able to kind of plot our moves. The game has the ability to, as you die and kind of lather, rinse, repeat back into the game, you can spawn on a teammate wherever they are on the map, as long as they stay alive for the duration of you spawning. So it was a lot of like, oh, Spin Doctor, I'm coming back. Don't die. Stay alive. You're halfway across the field, and I need to be able to spawn on you to make up some lost time, because those matches move super fast. You get 4 minutes in and out. So yeah, it was good. It was nice. It felt like kind of the perfect kind of combination of like play styles and temperaments, and yeah, I think we did really good playing together. So it was nice. It felt I don't ever feel like, man, I am dominating at Splatoon when I'm playing. And we had a couple of matches where I was like, yeah, suck it, 12-year-olds. We were,
well, okay. Phrasing.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. Yes. Yeah. But no, it's a good time. I think we had a really good time, and I was grateful for the opportunity to play with the two of them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You take this team on the road. You go to the next Splatoon International or whatever.
Yeah, we are already coordinating another game night. If you're a listener of Video Game Hangover and currently nursing a Splatoon addiction and would like to play with us, definitely go to VGHangover.com and get a link to our Discord. We coordinate on there and always put up a post when we're going to play again together. So do that if you need teammates.
Cool.
Yeah. So you played some Zelda. That was the one I wanted to kind of hear a bit about too. Zelda 2.
Ooh, yeah.
How was your retro game block?
I think I'm gonna push that to next week because I do want to talk about that. It was a lot of fun. It was great getting back to that game.
Cool.
But yeah, there's just so much stuff on the list. Played some Zelda 2. Played another Chilla's Art horror game, which was very spooky. And then I played that Planet Crafter game, which I'd actually like to get into a little bit more before I talk about it. So that will probably also be in a future episode.
Cool.
What else on the list, though? I didn't end up making it to Animal Crossing, which is probably fine. I noticed, so like I started it up just to make sure it would still work. Like there wasn't an update or anything. And it gives you the nice sort of flyover shot of your town. And I noticed there's still quite a few decorations up from holidays in the distant past that I had not taken down. So maybe I should go back in there at some point and just get the town into a more presentable shape. But ended up not having time for it, unfortunately.
Well, that's a bummer. I would like to see the state of your town. I'm curious.
I mean, I don't think it's a disaster or anything, but
yeah,
you know.
They don't really get disastrous anymore, unfortunately.
It doesn't get too bad. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, the weeds can kind of get all over the place.
Yeah, your town ranking definitely goes under, but
yeah,
it used to be, and Animal Crossing games have become a little more saccharine over the years. But some of the older versions, it used to get quite messy in the town, and people would move away.
You still get the Rafflesia flower?
No, there's no Rafflesia, excuse me, in the new version of the game.
Not at all?
No, not at all.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So this is in old versions of Animal Crossing, for our listeners' sake, there's a plant that used to, a junk plant, like it's a corpse flower.
It's that gross flower.
Yeah. Would bloom on your island if it had fallen into a state of sort of disrepair or disarray, if it had been neglected. And you would go back over time and these Rafflesia plants would be blooming and villagers will have moved away and there would be ants and trash on the ground and weeds everywhere, and you'd have cockroaches in your house, things like that. So it's less devastating to go back after a long period of time. You still get the guilt from your villagers. Where have you been? Have you been ignoring me? I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah.
But the island doesn't feel like it's fallen into hard times.
Hasn't like sunk into the ocean.
No. As the oceans rise, all of our Animal Crossing islands are in peril.
Yeah. Ooh.
And then it becomes the plot of Splatoon, really, at that point.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Sometime we'll have to do a Splatoon lore episode. You can fill me in because I have questions about that series.
There's a lot of little weird gaps and stuff, but I think I have a sense of it. We could do that.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. All right. Well, we have some games on the list and then we can sort of push into next week and do a slightly deeper dive into. What else? I guess we're kind of at the time, right? We should wrap this thing up.
I think that's about it. I need to catch up on my sleep, so
okay.
It's fine if we end a little early.
Yeah, there is that too. Like, geez, this was a lot easier 9 years ago to get through these marathons. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would love for you to join us on Discord. You can chat with us about video games and other fun pop culture stuff. You can play Splatoon and watch DJ play maybe some spooky games if you're going to resurrect Spooky Saturdays anytime soon.
I still have the whole list of games. Yeah, and I had like a backup spooky game if the one I played ended early that I didn't get to. So I'll probably get into that as well.
Awesome. So to find out about all of that stuff first, you can join us on Discord, and the links to that, the invites for that, are always at VGHangover.com as well. We would love for you to subscribe, rate, and review us on your podcasting app of choice. It really helps on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and stuff like that. The big lift, the biggest thing that has the impact on people actually listening to the show, is to help us out by telling your friends about the show.
Yeah. Tell your friends there's a cool... Well, there's this video game podcast out there for them to listen to, and then just have them tell 100 of their friends, and then we're good.
Perfect.
Oh, man. I want to give thanks again to Saria Lemus this week for our intro and outro music. You can listen to more of her stuff and maybe buy some of her albums there at pettypanol.bandcamp.com. Also, in case we didn't say it enough earlier, we really appreciate everybody's support through Extra Life Weekend, everybody who joined us on the stream, everybody who donated toward our goal, and everyone else. Did I forget anybody?
Nope.
Just everyone. We really appreciate everyone. So thank you so much again. It was another amazing year.
Yeah, very much so. And just immensely gratifying to know that people could show up for this awesome charity and yeah, no, I love it. It's such a cool thing. And, I look forward to and I dread it every year.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that.
I got to Friday night and I was like, oh, what if I signed myself up for again? And then you get into the swing of it on Saturday.
And I was just like, all right, we're all ready to go. But what if I just didn't do any of this? But we did, so it was good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You and I help keep each other honest and on task, I think, for a certain degree. And we know that obviously it's a good cause and people donate to a degree to help us sort of cheer us on and keep us going. So that's good. It's absolutely worth doing once we get doing it.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks so much for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.